Hi, Boss Babes. I am so glad to see all of you here today once again for a fabulous episode. Today's guest is a true force in Baltic tech world. Meet Elvira Zaltanei. She's the co-founder of Affire, helping companies to keep track of all the software they use, and not to mention, she's also the COO of Riga Tech Girls, working to make tech more inclusive and inspiring more women to join the industry. She's been named on Forbes 30 Under 30 list not once, but twice. And she's just getting started. So let's welcome this brilliant and bold boss babe to the show. Hi, Elvira.
Hi, thank you for the introduction.
Well, we try to do our homework and our best. So yeah, it's such a pleasure and honor to have you here today. How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel quite energized. It's spring. It feels like the quarter two is just starting. So there's a lot of energy and a lot of drive and ambition currently in the air. So
cool. So usually how we go is we would like to know a little bit about your story. So tell us, like in short, about your journey. Like how did you end up where you are today? What are the pivotal moments that happened that led you to where you are now?
I always like to say and start with the fact that I never studied business. I never studied anything IT related. I studied law and diplomacy. That's super unrelated to what I'm doing today. So that's definitely been a career change for me. The pivotal moment for me, and of course, like I started with this legal background, with diplomacy background, I thought I was going to go either as a lawyer or as a diplomat or something along the lines. But eventually, trying that out, trying to work as a lawyer, I realized that's not really my place. That doesn't fit my persona. It always was, there was something inside of me that I want to build something, do something, change something always. And I think, for me, the pivotal moment was that I actually listened to that voice and I just went out and tried to innovate and create something myself. So that was my first company. I think really that is the actual start of my career, where I feel like the university years, the first jobs do not count as career start, but the first company where I just kind of was bold, I trusted myself, and I went out to build it. So I got a team. We built a legal consultancy at first. But of course, it didn't satisfy me because I wanted to build something innovative. I wanted to build something scalable, a tech product, because I was interested in tech. And I remember there was a really funny moment at home. I was like, what do I want to do, with my life? What do I like? I was like, okay, I know legal. I like tech. I like entrepreneurship. Like, obviously, I want to build something. So I was trying to think in those lines. So I came to the word legal tech. And I decided to explore if there's anything that I could build there. And that was my first company, the first product.
So fun time Google searching legal tech companies.
Yeah. I didn't even know if that's a thing.
Right.
At that time, I couldn't really imagine how legal and technology could really go together. That wasn't really a topic, a very, topical topic at least, yes. or any conversations I was involved in. And I know maybe lawyers talked about it, but I had to do a lot of digging if that's anything where the industry is going. So I started researching, US, Australia, UK, what's happening there. And I saw some products popping up there. So it was a sign for me that, okay, if it's happening there, it's probably going to come here. So might as well start doing something.
Yeah. Cool. Since you are the CEO of Affire now, co-founder of Affire, what happened? Like you created this legal tech. Okay, of course, that was something like the first bold move. And then like what happened with that and how did you end up with your own company and Riga Tech Girls?
We started off, I was just finished like data protection courses. So I thought that was kind of a pathway for me to understand more technology. So it was a bit of a calculated move to understand more tech, but from this legal perspective that I had background with. I got together with two course mates. I just said, hey, I'm thinking of making a company. Do you want to join in? And they said, sure, I guess, right? Why not? That sounds interesting. Like, we don't have anything to do anyways. We were just students, and I was still in master's that time. We started doing that. We started off by thinking it could be consultancies, but by talking and me expressing the want to create also a product, we came to a conclusion that we could make a platform for agreements that could automate agreements and sign them. So it would be a place like a software where you could both sign the agreements and also store them. Because that was an issue, when a lot of times there were a lot of papers, you couldn't track them. It was like in emails and some folders, and there wasn't really a centralized place. And ideally, it would also let you sign it. Now, of course, we have many solutions for that, and like signing solutions, e-identity ones like in DocuSigns and everything. But at that time, that was something that we thought that could be something new. And we started working with it. We got a developer. At first, I didn't know where to find one. So I searched through friends and I found one. And he was just starting off with development. And he helped us to automate a few agreements. And we started off with registering a company process because we thought it was very standardized and it's easy to automate. So we did that and we saw interest from people. We applied to a pre-acceleration program in Startup Wise Guys. There I kind of understood what is a startup even, that this could be a startup. So like that was my first steps into the startup world. And I was like discovering by doing. So it wasn't like intentional, but it's just my curiosity, discovering by doing. And of course, like the product didn't fly. There were some legislative, I would say, reasons why, because it wasn't very scalable, because like it was super dependent on local legislature, language, so many things. Also, I didn't know a lot of technical capabilities that could be there. So it was also me not knowing a lot. But we still built a legal consultancy out of it. We started consulting and we just did it a bit different. So we did like online consultancy at that time. We were like with fixed fees. We were focusing on tech companies and startups. And yeah, we grew and we were full time. For me, it was a big thing at 23 to work with my own company and self-sustain myself and earn better than I was earning in my previous job. That was like, a full-time job. So yeah, I learned a lot about that, about what it means to get clients, how to sell, how to work with clients, how to deal with money and operations and people. So like that was a really big experience. But you asked also what happened, right? COVID happened. That was the fork in the road. So COVID was a time where basically we were just like, I would say, starting off and kicking off. And it was like a really good spot where we were full time and we were a team of 4.5. I'm saying 0.5 because it was like also sometimes project based for some, but I was definitely full time with my co-founder. When COVID hit, at that time, we were like in a very good place where the cash flow was super regular. We could really be sure that next month will be fine and we will have clients and we're working with them and everyone's coming. GDPR is a big thing. But when COVID came, everything like suddenly in 1 month just went to zero. Like all of the clients were like pulling back saying this is not a priority. New ones were not coming in. I could like sell as much as I want, but everyone was like, how we want to save money because we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, and that was a time where we just had to like step back and think. And for me at first, maybe it was like, okay, what do we do? Like, do we kind of regroup or do something else? And yeah, that was the thing. This was my chance to, I wasn't feeling at that point that agency type of a business anyways is something I want to do. I was just, there because that happened because the startup didn't fly. So for me, while this was a moment where it went kind of to a more, I would say, like downward spiral. At the same time, it was a moment of opportunity to change my direction.
Yeah, pivoting your own career, basically.
Yeah.
So where do Riga Tech Girls come into this picture? Like, how
Well-
do you manage all of that?
Much later, because after that COVID, there were some things I, tried out. I tried like hackathons, I tried building e-commerce stores. There were some startups that I helped to expand into different markets to just like kind of test out my abilities. But after those, and it was, I would say now it's like a year and a half ago, I met Anna Andersson. And at that time, I was kind of without anything. I wasn't really working on a business. At the same time, I was kind of looking for job opportunities. And I was like in a place where it was hard to find a job because I had this entrepreneurial experience and I was receiving a bit of feedback that it's a bit concerning that I might leave a company because it looks like my track record shows that I'm very active. So that was definitely a time where I was a bit confused of like what to do now. And when I met Anna, she saw something and she invited me to help her. So that's where we met and we just started working together, not knowing where it's going to lead. So yeah.
Cool. That's really fun. We at Boss Babes are really huge fans of Riga Tech Girls. I mean, that is one of the best things that Latvia has. I mean, for female entrepreneurship. So yeah, we are really huge fans and good job for doing that. Coming back to a little bit more feminine approach on things, can you recall any of the women or personas that you have met throughout your journey from just a student and a legal student and professional to a entrepreneur and somebody who has named Forbes some under 30, right? 30 under 30. So yeah, have you met, most probably you have. Can you name these women or personas that have influenced your career the most, and you can really take your hat off in front of them and say, yes, thank you, like you were the one who actually made me change some things. Or maybe you don't have, that's also an opportunity. So yeah, I'm curious, let me know.
I've been asked this question a few times, and I always have thought about it, and I've thought about it deeply so much that because the answer is I really don't, but one person is there. And if I really go deep, there is one person, and it's my dad, actually. My father is someone who has inspired me throughout my career in every single way. I think he's always been the one that I've been looking up to in all of my career decisions, in my entrepreneurial. He's an entrepreneur himself. I think he's the main influencer of how I think, of my values in entrepreneurship, and also the ability to not be afraid to risk, because he's always been, encouraging me to take those risks and saying, like, I'll be here if anything happens, just go ahead, like, go and explore. Like, I think he's amazing. He's the person that has been my, like, persona of influence, because when I think back, I don't think anyone else has been, stood as much as that.
Listening to your story, it's like you were brave enough to take these risks and everything. And like, who does Elvira need? I mean, she just needs herself and a piece of paper to write some ideas on, and that's it, like, go girl, and then you figure things out. So it's cool to actually, kind of see that your root and the security that your father has given you, and actually has raised up such a person that can actually be bold enough to take these risks and not be afraid.
It's curiosity. He always really taught me, like, be yourself, do what you like, don't care what anyone says, and just go after what you like. And, like, just don't look back, don't care. And, like, it really has shaped what I am as a person, how I think about things. And, like, that has, of course, I have, like, a natural curiosity about things. I'm just very curious about different topics, different hobbies to try out and everything. So it just made me feel not to be afraid to do that. So yeah, of course, I've seen people that are inspiring, but there's not, like, any other person that I would say I would just look after or want to become like this person, because it's more about, oh, it's inspiring, but they also have the courage. So yeah, I'm going to do it as well. So yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, more like peers, rather than mentors or something like this. Okay, cool. There are a lot of different kind of pivots and happenings that have been throughout your career. If you look back, what would have been the most unconventional decision that you've ever made? Like something that people look at you, like they're looking at you and like, no way is that gonna fly? And you're like rolling up your sleeves, like, watch me do it. So can you name something like that?
That was the first company. I was 22 years old and I was still like a legal assistant or something. And then I went out to create a legal company, and many lawyers were like, that's not going to fly. She's not experienced. She doesn't know anything. How she's going to get clients? And everyone was like, that's not going to work. But we did. And we were like self-sustainable. So that was definitely, I think, an unconventional moment. And also because it was my first experience, some people around me maybe thought, like, what is she doing? Like, that's new. That's something we've never seen from her. So that was like stepping outside of my comfort zone and showing people a different side of me. Mm-hmm. Now it's different. Any new venture, any new thing I do, everyone's like, yeah, that's her. That's what she does. But at that time, that was definitely something for me, both exposing myself and vulnerabilities, and that I want that I'm choosing this path, but also like for others not to really believe that it's gonna, go.
Yeah, like the very first decision.
The first decision.
Okay.
Just like to completely change everything.
Cool. We have been talking to different women about breaking stereotypes or feeling different kind of biases towards them. Like, have you experienced something like that? Being a woman and in tech industry and even legal is rather manlish in some sort of ways. You don't see a lot of women killer sharks out there in law as well. Have you felt this kind of demeanor towards yourself just because you're a woman and you're, this bold and brave person who is going out and trying stuff? Like, have you felt this guy's perspective? Like, no, like, what the hell?
Not really. Actually, not really. Even though I've worked in teams only with men, and it's actually has been the quite opposite for me. I'm not denying. I know that there are some cases where really women do experience those things.
True. It's just I'm curious about you. I mean, even that experience is an experience. I'm glad to hear that.
For me, it hasn't really been. I mean, if I would go really deep, maybe here and there could be some things in places where some, guys or girls actually, have looked at me in that way. But I just always write that down as like, that's a person thing, not really a gender thing in my case, because, I've worked in teams where there are only guys, and now also in Affire, we're 6 people. I'm the only woman there. In previous startups, I was the only woman there in the team. And in fact, I felt very uplifted So because I'm a woman, so it was rather more positive, I would say, than negative. But it's also about kind of having this radar of with which people to work and which not. Because obviously I can see that there are people who could be like that. I just choose not to work with those people. So it's
Kind of preventing the damage
yeah,
before it's
yeah.
even
I
created.
just choose not to be with those people that could do that to me.
That's cool, making good decisions for yourself. And I mean, even saying no to somebody is also the right reasons. That is the good thing to do, rather than we had this conversation some time ago with one of our guests about toxic team members, right? And you can have this most brilliant person who is just amazing at his job or her job. And then you kind of invite this person into a team, and then it's like this rotten apple in a whole pile of garden, right? And then you just see how it starts to rot everybody around you. So yeah, I mean, making these decisions for yourself is definitely a good thing.
And I do have to be honest that I've experienced and encountered those type of people as well, but I just really quickly recognize and cut that off just so early that it just doesn't affect me. So I guess that's the reason I can say I haven't experienced, because I've just really never let it so close to me, you know.
Successfully maneuvered these icebergs of people.
And hopefully I keep doing that.
Well, I mean, seeing how you're doing it, I think you're pretty well set. We haven't really touched these questions a lot, and since everything seems so nice with you, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper about your own quirks and things. First, what I would like to know is there is part of person that is kind of this drive, and you say you're naturally curious, which means you have this energy to go and actually pursue things. But we are all human, and we can't be pursuing and being curious 365 days a year. That's just physically impossible. So what would be your kind of productivity hacks or something that you do to actually kind of lift yourself up when you're feeling down, or you have one of these days you feel I would prefer going for a walk and having just a coffee or something, not rather going and solving these problems that I have like tons in my startup right now. So what would you do in a situation like that?
And sometimes you just have to do that. And sometimes you cannot do that because, the circumstances are that you just have to push through. But then you have to remember to take that time for yourself. So that's something I do. So like music for me and dance is something where I can go, I can forget about it. I can learn a choreography, not something from business, right? Yeah. And I can just, be myself, just be open, both with my body, with everything, and just let myself go, the stress. And another thing, as for productivity, that's a weird one, but the best thinking space for me is a bath. And I could take it in the middle of the day, in the middle of meetings, I would just go into bath, take my notes, and just start brainstorming with myself. That's like a place where I focus. All my speeches for any appearances publicly, everything has been done on my notes in bath.
Cool. I mean, that's
that's a weird thing, but it is just like a place where I relax. So yeah. So if my husband sees oh, you're going very frequently to bath, are you stressed? So that's usually a common, talk.
Okay, or maybe you're just super hyped and inspired by something and you need to do a lot of note taking. It's I have to get my bathrobe and
yeah, notes and water. Yeah, I guess that.
Cool. Something to look forward to is owning your jacuzzi at some point, I suppose,
definitely.
Right? So you can do it stargazing and then brainstorming.
I need that.
Cool, that sounds amazing. Are you a foodie, or maybe you have something that you eat or drink during certain, I don't know, times of day or events or something is there something that kind of gets you going I can't wake up without my cup of coffee, or chocolate or bananas somewhere or something?
I would love to if it would be like that. Since I had so many issues with my especially gut health, I have been very conscious about my eating. So definitely I would love to eat everything I can and want, but unfortunately it's not the reality. But if we're talking about just a comfort food, what I always my go-to, if chili pizza, it's this restaurant, they have this amazing tomato cream soup. It's really good.
Okay.
And I was so blown away by it that I just decided, I made it my mission to recreate it perfectly.
At home.
And it turns out, at home. And it turns out I found a recipe, specifically someone was already doing that.
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm just doing it quite frequently. It's definitely my comfort food.
You enjoy cooking as well?
Yeah, I do. I cook a lot at home. I don't definitely eat out because of some of my circumstances with health, but also like just I like cooking at home. It makes me a bit relaxed, and just like in control of what I eat. So
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, since the health is an issue here, then definitely, yeah, that's something you have to look out for. And yeah, just for the record, this amazing person is coming out of a surgery just recently, and she's smiling and with pink cheeks and everything. So she's, yeah, glowing in front of me.
that might be the reason why I will be able to eat everything. So I'm really glad.
So, see, things are looking up for you. Yeah, what else am I curious about is you mentioned there are people who you find inspiring and everything. Like, have you picked up something from somebody that a person is doing and you think, oh, that's amazing, I would like to do it? Do you have some hacks like that or even comfort food recipes, for example, from somebody? Can you share some of that with us?
I did share that my father was a quite big of a figure in my life, but in the recent years, Anna has been a very big influence, I would say, as well, in a positive way. Well, both because she was like in a time where I really needed someone and really kind of lifted me up. I think it's a really, really great partnership. I like really working with her, but like she has these some habits that I really think, oh my God, like I really want to do that. Like, for example, like she like writes everything in notes every day. For me, it's so hard to have like a note keeper from all the meetings and
I
everything. And
know.
I've tried everything. I've tried doing notes in my phone, notes in my computer, writing by hand. Nothing works for me. I cannot find like the procedure or a way how to keep all this information in my head that all the time I'm kind of being put in front of. And I think her habit of writing everything down by hand, and then I can see like she goes back in her notebook, like, oh yeah, on that date we talked this. Like, that's amazing. That's so structured work, and I think that's something that has inspired me that I want to do.
I mean, thank God for AI right now, right? So I am listening to this and I'm thinking, like, I have so many freaking diaries that I have tried to start. Okay, day one, day two, and then you you just open it and it's like, oh, it's been half a year and I haven't opened it anymore.
It's discipline. So I guess
Yeah,
like discipline ultimately is something I really admire in this
yeah.
person. So just like sticking to it, like choosing to do it that I haven't managed to do. So yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that is a part of your own quirk, I think, like there are people who can start digging in one direction and they will go this direction for 10, 20 years until they, like discover the ultimate something or eventually don't. And then they start another direction and then continue digging like this. And then it's people like you who is like, oh, this idea and that idea, I might try this. But although like this story with legal experience and everything, it did sound to me that you did stick through it, until you decided, okay, I would say that even destiny or whatever, call it whichever way you want, just said, okay, pause, and then you have time to reflect, and then you decided to pivot again. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing. If everybody was so structured, it would be boring.
That is true. It takes still a lot of like courage and willpower and wanting to do something to stick to it. Even like now in the startup, like there's been so many instances where we could just like say, you know what, let's give up, but we're not doing that. But it's not easy. It's not easy. People don't talk about how actually it is hard to build a startup. Everyone's usually, about the successful headlines.
And this is what Baltic Boss Babes is all about. This is not about the gloss and the amazing and posh LinkedIn post about we raised money, we pitched here, we acquired clients and everything. And then nobody is talking about, yeah, I almost hit my co-founder in the face today because he or she was such an asshole, or we just couldn't see face to face anymore, or I wanted to go and cut my veins a little bit in a corner because I was so depressed because this investor kept bugging me day after day, or receiving 100 no's in a fundraising state, right? Of course everybody is smart enough to say don't associate yourself with a startup, that your startup is not you, because if an investor says no to your startup, it doesn't necessarily say that it's saying to you no, right? So these kind of things, and
It's easy to say, but in reality, it
of
becomes your
course,
life. It becomes your
exactly,
24/7. It's a lifestyle. It's not a job. It's a lifestyle. So
exactly. When they are saying your startup is your baby, they are not
they are not
wrong.
kidding. They're not
No.
kidding. There are certain levels in which you can like take it as just feedback. And of course, like, I mean, we're going through a fundraising process now, and there were like, it's a whole story. Just like came back from Silicon Valley. We didn't get into 500 Global in an accelerator, but we were like last 50 from 7,500. So like that's still, I mean, they still called us to Silicon Valley. They still thought we were like a global company with a potential. Like they said a lot of good things and they coached us. We had like boot camp and everything. That affected our fundraising because we like started fundraising with different terms. Then we had like this whole month and a half with 500 Global where we kind of had to halt everything because we were not sure what's going to happen. Are they going to come first? No, like all the signals were kind of positive. Then it said no, and now we're like had to regroup again and start fundraising again, but maybe with different terms because now we're much further. And even back before 500 Global, there were so many no's. There were so many, you're not gonna make it. You're too kind people. You're like, also that I'm a woman. Actually, I did receive one feedback like that. It was not easy to go through that, but you could compartmentalize, I would say, like it as okay, fine. There are some things we just need to adjust, get better at. It's gonna be okay. No is not a no. It's just not now. When 500 Global came, there was, of course, increased interest. When it didn't go through, some interest went away, some interest remained. So, like, it's just, yeah, but it's not easy, especially if it goes like through months and months. It just gets to you at some point, definitely.
Of course it does. I mean, that's the point. We are just all human in the end. But the strong part about this is that, from what I hear, you have a really great team around you, which means that if you today have a really bad day or even a week, right, or a couple of weeks, then you have somebody who's going to put the hand on your shoulder and say, relax, take even a couple of days off if that's necessary. We are going to take care of stuff. So that's also very, very important. And from what I hear, I think you have that.
Very, very important. Well, one thing is my co-founder is also my husband, but we are not only two co-founders. We have more and we are together 6 people, and definitely is a very big strength that you can rely on people and that you have people that you can rely on, that there's mutual values and trust. It's super important. I couldn't do it alone. No way. There's like, I have now surgery. If I wouldn't be there, I would be alone. Everything would stop. But like, there's a whole team working on it while I'm recovering. And they're like, take your time. I'm really glad about that. But yeah, team is very important.
This is one of the main reasons why startups actually do fail. Of course, the outer reasons are, usually the product is not developed enough, the market is not ready enough, or, like you pivoted the wrong way, the too early, too late, or something, but at the end, it always comes down to these people who have signed the co-founder agreement, the ones that are decision makers in the company and actually are moving things forward. And if there's a mismatch, it's never gonna fly.
It might be a hot take, but I believe you can sell and build and scale anything really you want. Like, I really don't believe like there's actually such a thing as like too saturated, too late or something like that, because what matters, like, okay, maybe the initial idea is not, but if you go and listen to your customers in your market, you can always figure out what is the thing that you can. So like, I just believe it's ultimately down to how long are you going to stick through those hardships, like, because they're going to be there and you're going to receive backlash and people are going to say like, we don't want your product, or maybe the customer's saying, I'm not going to buying it. It's whether you're going to pursue and find a way how this customer will do it. Like we also had this situation in summer, like because we started with a bit of a different product. Like we started with SaaS management. We wanted to kind of sell to companies the fact that they can manage their SaaS applications. But when we actually, and we went like to 50 founders battle, we got into finals and everything was cool. And then we started to sell, and our customers were like, yeah, it's cool. Like we want to solve this problem, but like we don't want to buy it because no one's going to actually sit and use it. We don't have like an employee that's going to use it. And we could have just said, okay, so like, no one really needs it, so who are we going to sell to? But we went and like for 3 months talked to industry stakeholders, partners, those same people who work in companies with those things, and we realized there is like a segment called managed service providers that do this for hundreds of clients on daily basis, and they need this. So like it's about whether you're kind of curious enough and do you want this enough that you will go and search for the answer.
Absolutely. Sounds like a little bit over optimistic thing, but that is the ideology I live by myself as well. For example, there is no bad sales. There is just not adjusted enough or something like this, like I don't believe in no's. I always believe that you can turn the no into a yes. You just have to find the right angle and the right way how to position yourself. like, for example, customer conversion rate and everything, I always believe that you can do at least 10 or 15% better. You're just not putting effort enough to actually figure out what makes the 10, 15% to change the dynamics. So yeah, I mean, definitely. And there might be some people who are coming from industry and smirking and like, yeah, you haven't worked a day in your life, girl. Like, what are you talking about? And then, there are people who are doing it. Oh, okay, from another perspective, you look at this, of course, there are people who are naturally born talented with that, right? So, of course, he can go or she can go and sell old socks to somebody, and they will do it in such a finesse that this person is going to be so happy that they own this old pair of socks, right? But that is a skill that you can teach to anybody. So
Yeah, as funny as it sounds, I really think entrepreneurs have to be on some level positively delusional, because otherwise you just will not have the courage, because like you really have to see something that no one sees and just like be so focused on that and just like maybe overly positive, because that is actually what keeps you alive, because you don't have anything tangible, just your dream. And like you just
absolutely,
that's it. So entrepreneurship in a way is insanity, because you're doing all over and over and over again that maybe sometimes doesn't work until it works.
That's so fun. Right. So I think that I will slowly wrap this conversation up, because I mean, it's been so much fun and interesting. Let's keep it short and sweet. I am curious what would your take on this would be, and the listeners are curious always as well, because this is probably the sentence they are coming for in this podcast. Like, what would be your most unfiltered advice that you can give to aspiring female entrepreneurs or leaders, or somebody who is just starting out on their journey?
Be yourself. Don't put yourself in any category, whether it's based by gender, female, male, doesn't matter, whether by you're kind of putting yourself into a category of people. It's okay to be an outsider or feel like that, because those are the people that actually make it, I think. Those are the ones that are the trendsetters. Don't feel like you have to adjust to something or someone or a persona or an expectation of someone that, this is how a CEO should look like, or this is how a female entrepreneur should look like. Be yourself, because that's, I think, where the success is.
That is a great advice. And I mean, as cliche as it might sound, you can't really get truer than that. So yeah, ladies and hopefully some gentlemen, wise words from Elvira here, and some inspiration from our podcast today. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Elvira, for being here today. I certainly had a lot of fun, and I feel that we could talk about these things for at least a couple more hours. Let's keep it short and sweet, as I said. And yeah, as always, guys, don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media, on LinkedIn and on Instagram, as we are posting content, amazing stuff daily, and also our podcast. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening, and see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode with Elvira Zaltanei. From bold career pivots to building startups with heart, Elvira reminded us that trusting your instincts and staying curious can lead to incredible places. If her story resonated with you, share this episode and follow us for more real, unfiltered conversations with inspiring women. See you next time.